Hello everybody and welcome to the Flute Practice. Today we're going to be talking about those low notes and how to get them to speak more clearly and loudly. So let's go check it out. So I think the funniest thing about low notes is that it's often not about, what you need to be doing, but rather what you need to not be doing. There's so many things that we tend to do that really get in the way of us being able to make, some really awesome kick-ass low notes. One of the biggest things we do about low notes is we kind of psychologically stress about them in our mind before we even get there. This creates lots of tension here, it creates lots of tension here, it creates lots of tension here, and what happens? They just don't happen. So the first thing you need to kind of get out of your head is low notes are not difficult. They're not that big a deal. It's actually just about learning how to undo all the things that we are doing. Okay, so let's get down to the practicalities. One of the big things that we all tend to do when it comes to low notes is we tend to kind of move our body down as we get to the low notes. So we got a nice... Okay, very exaggerated, but for some reason we feel like we need to kind of like move with the direction of the note. And then actually we should be thinking the opposite. We should be thinking up as we go down. So another aspect of this, as we think down, we tend to turn in rather than doing the opposite, which is actually turning out. If we just play a nice low D and we turn in too much, we make our life very difficult. And invariably what happens when we, really trying to play loud or fortissimo, we go just turning out already solves a huge part of this problem. The other thing that we tend to do, well, this kind of splits into two factions. Either we're too tight here or we're too loose. So you will know that you are too loose when you start to hear the following. You hear playing a low D or C, and it sounds quite hollow. For me, if you kind of go in the whole sound, color sound thing, it sounds quite a purple sound almost, and just very, very difficult to get any kind of strength, or what I like to kind of refer to as almost like that metally, edgy sound you're not getting. If you look very closely here, this is too relaxed. It's too loose. And this aperture here is, as a result, is too wide or too big. And so you're getting that kind of like, what I have referred to in the past as the sort of stupid flute sound. So what you want to work on then is you want to work on just a little bit more tension here, not too much, and especially this area here. So these muscles over here, I've often talked about the quack muscles. But it's these muscles here that really are going to be learning to control the sound down there. And a warning, this does just take some time. So, be patient and all those things. But if you watch what I actually do, so the loose sound. Now I'm going to pull slightly here, just a little bit, and focus here. So what you probably have noticed is you can sort of see the pulling quite clearly, but really I'm thinking much more here, this focus point here. The other problem that you might have is that you are too tense. And this is often the case for slightly more advanced players, because we are now focusing on things like making a lovely sound down there, and intonation and dynamics and all those things, and we tend to kind of overdo it down there. So we get this kind of a thing. I had a teacher once who said, stop biting your flute, stop biting. And it is that biting down feeling, like so you really tense here, tight, even if this is not necessarily tense, but you're still just closing too much, and so you actually bite the sound, or you clamp the sound. I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you practicing and you're getting those low notes, or you like so sorted, and then you get into your lesson or to your exam or whatever it is, and you play and it's just gone, nothing happens, and you get so frustrated. I did this, I could do this, I know how to do this. And that's usually a sign of tension, because we get nervous and we get anxious and we're trying, we really want to impress our teacher or a panel or audience or whatever it is, and then suddenly it just doesn't happen. And then we kind of this. So what you need to really practice doing, and I think one of the nicest ways to do this, just take your scales, or even better, a chromatic scale is usually the best bet, because you're really working down in those small intervals. And you go down and you're just practicing keeping this absolutely relaxed and actually letting go more and more as you go into that low register. So get really practicing this feeling of releasing as you go down. It's a funny kind of almost a trust game. You sort of have to trust that when you let go, it's going to happen and it's going to be fine. And then what I can do is I can start to really play around with controlling the size of the aperture with this part of the lips rather than here. So I'm releasing here and I'm really focusing on just controlling here a little bit. Now when you combine this with the turning out slightly, and the last thing, which is really blowing the airstream straight down into that flute. How I do this is by allowing the upper lip to angle that air down a bit more and dropping the jaw back a bit. So really jaw back and allowing this upper lip to really guide that air. This is such a fine balancing act and such a fine balancing game between too much tension, too little tension, getting this aperture in the exact right place, not too small, not too big. It's like, unfortunately, one of those things that just takes a lot of experimentation and time and work. But I promise you, if you start to put in that kind of work and time, and you start to, really analyze what you're doing and experiment and try different things out and see what you're doing, you will figure it out. You will get it, I promise. And if you don't, go chat to your teacher or leave me a comment or a message, and maybe we can help you personally. So, a nice little exercise that I personally love to do. I do this little exercise before concerts and recordings and auditions and stuff. What you're going to do is we're going to do it on ha. So we're just going to go ha, 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 ha. We've done this in plenty other videos. If you are confused, you can maybe go check it out. And we're going to start, just as a little warm up, we're going to start from the G. And we're going to just do 4 has on each note. We're going to go down chromatically. As far as you can go, maybe you go all the way down to the C, so you get your... And you can see me, I'm sitting in front of a camera and I'm like, I want to play my low notes so they're good, and straight away I get tension and I have to also remind myself to release. Funny thing that. So this is just to kind of warm up. We are trying to get the has as clean and clear without getting that sort of a fwa, 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 fwa. If you are getting the fwa, 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 just go back to high notes where you were still getting a clear ha, ha, ha. And remember, this takes time. These muscles, these poor guys, they just need some time to figure it all out. So, patience, please, patience. Once you kind of get more comfortable with this, we can start doing the nice Tafel Gobert number 1, which is you can start on the C, but maybe just start on the D for now. So once again, start off slowly, just really getting the clarity of sound, and then speed it up. And now really push yourself. See how loud you can get it, how clean and accurate you can get it, and all still on ha. So let's try again. And once again, I don't know if you saw when I started off a little bit more tense, and as I went, I reminded myself just to relax. It's a learning and growing process. I find if I don't do exercises for my low register fairly regularly, it's one of those things, you use it or lose it, baby. And these muscles are, just as every other muscle in your body, they need to stay fit. And low register playing is quite a specific kind of fitness for these lips. So I find it's really something you can't practice it enough, and you can't kind of keep working at it and keep refreshing it enough. I think the last thing to remember is, kind of coming back to the psychological stuff, making a nice full circle here, but it's just one low note. It's not the end of the world. And if that note doesn't come out, you know, it's not that serious. You know, even if it really is the beginning of your... It really, in the long run, in the kind of grand scheme of the whole piece and you're playing, it's not going to make a difference. So just relax and keep it chilled. Cool, everyone. That was the first little part of low notes. I think there's tons more to be said about it and a lot of exercises that can be done, and hopefully in the next coming weeks and months we will explore this wonderful area of the flute more and more. But for now, just a little bit for you to kind of experiment with and work with. Give me comments and questions if you get stuck on anything or you need some, you know, extra help. I'm here to help. And happy practicing, and see you next time.